What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the St. Vitus basement, and we return with Keith of The Convalescence. Great to have you back, man.
Thanks, man. Good to be back.
Yeah. Experiencing a little deja vu, because the last time I spoke to you was at this exact
same couch.
Yeah, same exact couch. Are you wearing the same shirt? That would be even better.
I'm not. I got this one yesterday, actually. I acquired it at the festival.
Okay, so all right.
Needed clean clothes on tour.
That would be a really good way to just mess with people.
Plus, I mean, as a death metal band, how often do you get to see your band name on the same shirt as, like, The Offspring?
Yeah, there you go.
So I was like, I have to have that.
There you go. That's exactly true. You got to go even further now. Do a tour with, like, Celine Dion.
If they would let us, I would.
There you go.
Actually, funny thing, way back, like, one of our first tours, we were touring in support of The Process. It was, like, 2014. And we were out with Goodnight Irene, and I kept fucking getting hit back by every venue we were trying to book in Nebraska, like the whole state, saying, "Oh, we can't book you because Cher's playing at the arena." Like, what does Cher have to do with a death metal show? Like,
hey, Cher can be pretty brutal. And
so straight up, I emailed the promoter at the arena. I was like, dude, apparently Cher is the most death metal thing happening in Nebraska. Because I guess some like screenshots of like, we're getting turned down left and right because of the Cher show. I was like, can we open the Cher show?
That would be awesome.
And he was just like, absolutely not. You will not. I did try.
There you go. There you go. But it's awesome to have you here because Monument of Misery is the newest record. And the last time we spoke, you were just concluding the record cycle for This Is Hell. So do you consider Monument of Misery to be a direct follow-up to This Is Hell, or do you think that this record is more or less its own entity?
I mean, everything's kind of like building on the next thing to a certain extent. But Monument of, like, This Is Hell was still kind of just like, we're just writing, and it was like an improv album, just like Poison Words was, where we didn't write anything. We just went into the studio, and here it is in 2 weeks, and took off. This one we spent a little more time on. And, you know, literally, like, every song is just, like, its own horror movie. Like, all I did really was watch horror movies and that kind of shit while writing. And, you know, I think it's our strongest album so far. It's definitely our most initially successful album so far. But spending more time on it and definitely going to work with Chris Donaldson was definitely a good move for us.
There you go.
So
yeah, you mentioned like you have more time with this album, so it's fair to say because it wasn't as improvisational, like there was more of, I guess, a preconceived idea when making this album.
Not necessarily an idea, but like everybody was, you know, Zach and Toby and Chuck were getting together and, you know, writing whole songs and sending them to me and sending them to Katie and Ron and everybody, and everybody was kind of working on their own parts, adding their own thing, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it was really like the whole band was writing together instead of where we come in, somebody's got like, I have this song, and then everybody kind of write around it. And we got to do live drums on this one.
Oh, wow.
And that was like our first time ever doing live drums on a record, because we've always been like time and budget like affected. And you know, we got to record in one of the nicest drum rooms I've ever seen, up at the Grid. But yeah, it was a big difference because when you're recording and you actually have the feel of an actual drummer as opposed to the drum machine, it's more of a live feeling. And we also strayed away from I've always like had the mic like, you know, up here on a stand and just kind of screamed into it. And it's like, don't touch the mic, nothing. And this time, we used a Shure 7B, and we got rid of the stand, and I was able to like hunch over, like contort my body however, whatever, like we were playing live.
Oh, wow.
And the vocals came out just 100 times better than I think they ever did on the other records. So
awesome. And you mentioned having a live drum room. I mean, you know, Charles or Chuck or Chip or whatever you call your drummer.
Live, so like when you're hearing that in the headphones, it's like, okay, we're playing live, we're jamming basically.
Yeah.
So made a big difference.
So you actually, because I didn't ask you this last time and you kind of led right into it, is there, because when you're playing live, you know, this is probably like my 7th time seeing The Convalescence.
Right.
So like, When you're playing live, you know, obviously you're in character. There's the
Yeah.
production you have.
Yeah.
Are you guys just as much character when you're in the studio or when you're practicing, or is live just like a completely different entity for you?
I mean, live is always going to be its own thing because obviously in the studio, we're not painted up and dripping blood on everything. That's more expensive than we are and that whole thing. But it is kind of a mindset. And I think when you get the headphones on, you're cranked up and you're in that booth and you're recording like that, it's definitely a mindset you get into playing the songs.
Yeah. Do you ever like think about how it's gonna how a song is gonna translate live versus how it is in the album? Like,
yeah, but I feel like it's never right. Like, yeah. I feel like you're always like, man, this is kind of a calm song, blah, blah, blah. Like, and you play it live, and it's just like everybody's slamming and moshing and headbanging the whole everything, and it's like, oh, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Or the songs you think are going to be really heavy end up just being almost like maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
And everybody's just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's fucking really heavy, man. Like,
yeah.
So the House of Suffering really surprised us because it was kind of a more like black metal-y, like drawn out song, I guess, at least in my opinion. And that's been one of the biggest crowd responses.
There you go.
Period. So
now, being that you have so many albums out now, does it get like harder to put like a set list together when playing live?
Oh yeah, it sucks. It sucks. This is our 6th album now, and most of them have been full length. So we have like 58 or 59 songs in like our catalog to pick from, and everybody's always yelling different shit like play this song, and it's like, fuck, dude, half the members don't even know that song. It was like 3 years before they joined and stuff like that. So it is difficult, but I mean, we always try to play like more so the new shit that we just put out 'cause we want to play it and we want people to hear it, and that's what we're pushing. But we always throw in a couple of the old.
Oh, really? For a lot of bands I know, they usually don't like to put too many newer songs on the set list, and they want the album to be processed a little bit more, but you just go right into it.
Oh yeah, like the Monument of Misery tour, we were playing like 5 or 6 songs off the new record out of the 10.
Wow.
So we just, hey, it's the new shit.
There you go.
Let's do it.
There you go. And I definitely remember bringing this up to you last time, but like aside from being like a death metal band or a black metal band, like what you refer to yourself as, I mean, you did Summer Slaughter. You did a day at Summer Slaughter this year, which was insane. But then, you know, you just announced your tour with 6 Feet Under, fairly appropriate. But like you've also toured with a lot of other bands outside of that sort of element, right? And
yeah,
like
absolutely.
And has there been a different like crowd response or reaction to it?
Honestly, when we get in front of like the more mainstream crowds, like when we did the OTEP tour, or like yesterday we opened for The Offspring, and we toured with El Nino and stuff, those crowds are usually the most like active and the most like just crazy about shit, because it's like I feel like a lot of them have never heard anything like that before, or at least not very much.
Yeah.
And when we go do these big festivals and stuff and these big shows, we'll go out and we spray blood all over the crowd, and we've added more like stuff to our show to kind of keep it interesting throughout everything. And honestly, we've opened for Disturbed and all that kind of stuff too, and it's like those are the shows that are always the biggest pits.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, we've done our share of death metal tours with some insane pits too, but it's like those big festivals are just where it's at.
Yeah, I feel like when you do the more mainstream sort of crowds, like I'd imagine that at the festival you were at yesterday, you were probably the heaviest band on that bill.
Yeah, it was brought up to us several times, like, you guys are the heaviest band the whole weekend, and it's like, sweet.
Yeah.
Like, we're cool with that.
There you go. There you go. Now, one question I really I've started to ask a lot of artists, because it's always the hardest question for everybody to answer. Yeah. How do you know when a song is done?
When a song's done?
Yeah.
Like writing it?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I don't know. It's usually kind of determined by the time it gets to my part.
Oh really?
You know, I write the lyrics. I'm good for like one song on guitar per album.
Okay.
And that's like, I'll write my one, or help write my one, and then those guys do the rest of it. So really, I write lyrics over songs.
Okay.
That have been relatively written. So
you already have the arrangements.
I kind of have the arrangement, yeah. I mean, I have my opinions about stuff. I guess you just kind of know. Like, okay, that'll be a sick ending. And sometimes it changes. Sometimes I'll add like a little keyboard thing on the end or something to kind of lead it out if it doesn't seem like it's quite fitting.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. You probably answered that easier than a lot of other people. Like I'm able to smell smoke sometimes coming out of people's ears. Yeah. So now, because this is I think like my 4th convalescence interview. We for the occasion, we got to do some fun questions for the fans out there. If you're down.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1: what is the most painful spot you've ever gotten tattooed?
Painful spot. Probably this alien tattoo.
Oh, really?
Like just getting up here on like the elbow was kind of brutal, and this deicide tattoo right here in the pit of your elbow.
Oh, wow.
That was probably the worst ones.
Yeah, pit of the elbow sucks.
Yeah, that wasn't overly fun. I mean, I haven't got anything really super terrible, but
okay.
If I had to pick so far in my experience, those would be the worst.
All right. Playing all over the world, in Europe and America, what is the worst thing you've ever eaten?
Worst thing I've ever eaten? Oh, shit. I don't know. There's probably a lot of stuff. Most gas station food is pretty fucking horrible. I had White Castle today. That was pretty bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's usually consistently bad.
I like White Castle.
I mean, like, I feel like everybody likes White Castle, but it's not good. Like, it's it's bad, but you're there because it's, like, bad.
Okay.
I don't know. That's probably it. Gas station food or White Castle. They're like a tie for me.
All right. And the final question is, we talked about mosh pitting and stuff. What is the most insane thing you've ever seen in a mosh pit?
It was actually here in Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
I saw someone get hit with a sink.
Which show? Was I at that? Which show?
No, this was 2014.
Okay.
It was our first big national tour ever, and we were out with As Blood Runs Black and Rings of Saturn.
Okay.
And we came. It was supposed to be a place in Brooklyn called Coco 66.
Okay.
But I guess somebody got shot there or some shit the night before, and they moved the show to a place called Brooklyn Asylum.
Okay.
Which was we got there, and it was literally just an open room, and there's a stage made out of pallets with a PA on it. And he's like, "This is where you're playing." We're like, "Is there a barricade? Is there security or anything?" These dudes were selling beer out of coolers behind
one of those DIY venues.
It was super DIY. They had no security. They had nothing at all, and they honored all the tickets from this club. So this place was 300 people overpacked, probably. This shit was stupid. You couldn't even move in there. If you wanted to buy merch, you couldn't, because you'd never be able to move through people that were just standing there to get to the tables. It was ridiculous. And as the night went on, when we played, the locals played, and there was pits during the locals. We went on, and people were getting drop kicked and slammed face first into the concrete wall and stuff like that during our set. And then Those Who Fear went on, and Upon This Dawning went on. They were throwing trash cans during Rings of Saturn. And then when As Blood Runs Black came on, some kids actually went in and ripped the big porcelain sink off the wall in the bathroom and came running out in the pit and just straight chucked it at some dude. And it was fucked up. Our whole tour package packed up our merch and shit and took everything just outside and loaded it back up, and we're just
let's get the hell out of here.
Unless you're literally playing on stage, don't be in here. It was a safety issue for our tour package, and it was just
yeah.
Mosh pit wise, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
That's the best mosh pit out of all the
And it was here in Brooklyn, so
yeah, well, we're crazy. Hardcore capital of the world.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for coming back on. You guys are always welcome.
Thanks for having me, man.
I know that you just announced the 6 Feet Under tour in Europe.
Yep.
Is there just anything else you would like to promote for the Convalescence for going into 2020?
We just got the rest of this tour, the House of Suffering tour that we're doing. It ends next Sunday. We just got a couple New York dates, Detroit, and some Wisconsin and Minnesota. We're the headliner for this year's Northern Wisconsin Metal Fest. Awesome. So this should be sick. I played there 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
As one of the openers. So it's cool to come back and headline it this year. We're doing Annihilation Fest in Toledo in November.
Okay.
We'll be there with Whitechapel and Atreyu.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that'll be a sick show. That'll be our last U.S. of the year, and then just out on the 6 Feet Under tour. So.
Awesome. Well, Thank you so much, man. It's always
Cool,
great to
man.
have you here.
Absolutely, man.
Everybody, Keith of The Convalescence, Monument of Misery. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.